Oh, Ani's the guest to clapper.
Really good.
Good clap.
Did I do it?
My goodness.
Close, please.
Thanks, Kate.
You have something.
Welcome to the Valleycast.
Oh, man. I got so angry I was going to throw this beer at you, and then I was like, ooh, control. Control.
There you go.
Guys, welcome to the Valleycast. That song came from Hunting Arnton.
And thank you so much.
And we love that.
Yeah,
Thank
it was
you.
very good.
What a great thing. Guys, today we have a special guest on the Valleycast, my friend Ani Baker.
Ani Baker.
Baker.
No,
like
I
the
think
full
when you're
name?
just referring to me, I put my full name on like projects, but I think that's excessive to require people to say all three names in person.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on who. If you're a good person, I will say your full name if that's
Ooh.
what you want.
Ooh.
What's the full name? What is it?
Ani Easton Baker.
Ani Easton Baker.
And it just
That's
looks,
a cool name.
Yeah, it looks better like on projects or like on pieces of writing, but I think in life I typically just...
Ani Easton sounds kind of like a
Ani.
1980s like synth pop
Oh
singer.
yeah,
Ooh.
Ani Easton. I had Ani
Ooh.
Easton's poster on
Then
my
married into
wall.
the Tammy Faye Baker family.
I'll take it.
Right, right.
So now you're also just like super religious. Your
Ani,
music changed after.
Ani and I know each other through Hollywood and its deviousness.
What does that mean?
As well as its reward.
That's so true.
Because we
Wow.
are of a
intrigue.
group of people who I feel blessed to be in a group of friends with.
Cannibals.
Cannibals. Vegan cannibals.
Yeah, we've survived so far, so we are
What would that
truly
mean?
blessed.
Yeah, we've been chosen.
Yeah.
Ani, I think, because we had, because you know Whitney Moore, and
course.
Whitney Moore is a good friend also, and she best friend even. Shit, she's everyone's best friend.
Yeah.
and she
She's
is
a
the
good
world's
best
best
friend,
friend,
yeah.
and she's a great best friend.
I like always hesitate to use that term because I feel
Me
like I don't
too.
know how to be a best friend. She doesn't hesitate to use it, and she knows how to be a best
Ooh,
friend.
Yeah,
this
but she-
podcast is brought to you by Whitney Moore, your best friend.
But she and I on this podcast talked about being buried in a friend grave. Which is a place where, if you want, all of your friends can be buried in the same spot under a big, beautiful tree or something. And it
What?
could be ashes, it could be bodies, it could be whatever you want.
Wow. I thought you were talking about it metaphorically.
So did
Oh,
I.
no.
Up
No.
until that last
Oh,
moment.
no.
Yeah.
Well, then we went a step further and we talked about how you could also put a piece of your face or an arm on the tree itself for
right.
people to go and give well wishes. In
Right,
the
like
This
future.
is
you can-
not something you're making up. This
A
is
piece of your face?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could have your face molded into the tree.
I
or
won't
you
have
could
any
have like
part
a
of this.
taxidermied
This is
version of
satanic
your
and-
face. Satanic. I don't know. The sentiment was really sweet, and I feel bad that I'm creeping you out with it.
No, is this real? I need to know what
yeah,
the
Whitney
seed
and
of
I
this
have
idea-
been talking about having a friend plot. Whitney Moore, I'm in love with you forever.
Me too, Steve.
It's a married woman.
I just got Steve
It's
was
a
at my
platonic
wedding.
love.
I feel the same way. We're gonna be buried in the same grave.
Yes, we will.
Jesus.
With like 4 other people.
This is like
Yeah.
a pact here.
My
happening
dad.
live.
It's gonna be a mass grave of everybody that we love.
I know. I
Be
would
an
love
ass
that.
grave.
Dude, if you honestly, do you have your death plans at all?
Yes, actually, I do.
Oh, you
Wow,
do.
we have a topic. Hold
'Cause
up.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
let's get our death plans together, and we'll all get a friend plot.
Yeah.
And if
okay.
someone gets canceled or is an asshole, they get kicked out of the friend plot.
Is
and
that
that's the ultimate burn. Is
Yeah.
you don't get to get
You don't
buried
get to be
with us.
with
the
us. You don't
ultimate
get to
burn is cremation, you guys. Let's talk about this.
That we can all be buried in together when we are all dead at different times.
You guys have a friend plot to make a friend plot.
Yeah.
Oh,
we should write a movie
nice.
called The Friend Plot.
Yeah.
And it's all about and it's all individual stories about when the friend dies and then is added to the friend plot.
I love this.
It's got to have a subtitle in parentheses.
The
called
brother-
friend plot. It's a double meaning.
Oh, friend plot.
Double meaning.
Double. Anyway, but
I
yeah,
hope you're
Ani-
telling me about it because I'm invited into the
Yeah, that's what I was
plot.
gonna say.
Great.
I was gonna say that I feel like you are probably unofficially already a part of it if you'd like to be.
Would love.
How does that make you feel? You weren't unofficially
Oh, no.
invited.
I'm good.
Okay.
No, Elliot wants to
Thank
be
you.
in some Christian graveyard somewhere, probably. Right?
It's a miniature arc. Yeah. it's in the south. We survived.
Someone shoots arrows at it from the shore, and you and you get burnt to
They
Valhalla.
just send
Oh, that's
doves to attack.
Christian. That's
Right.
not Christian based.
Shut up, Joe.
Okay. I'll see you guys
so
later.
Anyway,
Thank you for watching.
So Ani is a good friend, and so I'm having you on the podcast because I know you're releasing a movie. You're trying to have a movie. You're in post production now on this movie.
We're like almost. We're honestly adding. I think the last edits on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then I feel like it's going to be done. Right now it's done.
Yeah, dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun
After
dun
Broadway.
dun
What
dun.
is it? What's the
Well, that's what
genre?
yeah.
What kind
Tell
of
us
film?
all about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I made a documentary. It's a short because, well, we're pitching it as a pilot because I would love for it to be turned into a docuseries, but it's about the need for better sex ed in the school system, in the public school system.
Oh.
Yeah, because I was a public school teacher for 12 years, and there were like a lot of things about the system that really, really bothered me and truly like crippled me from being able to do my job well. It's a very, very broken system. Like, I honor it. I'm grateful for it. It's free education, great, but also, it's infuriating, like what we don't teach kids.
The hoops you got to jump through, the standards that you have to meet, the regulations, the parents that don't want you saying certain things to them little ones during their
Parents
babysitting
like,
time.
and
like
then-
Joe. Joe does not allow his kids
Please
to
don't talk
see
to my
or
kids,
hear-
is what I
yeah.
tell every
He
teacher.
doesn't allow them to ask questions.
Don't talk to my child. This
No
is
speaking when
babysitting.
daddy's home. Yeah.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I
you're
remember
better off.
being in Catholic school, and I remember the sex ed was pretty abysmal.
Tell me, please, because that's so. The questions I think I'm most curious about, and the questions I've been asking people across the board. What was your sex ed like? And also, when did you become interested in sex? And then how were you educated? Because kids become interested in sex at age 5, 6,
Super
7.
early, yeah.
And then they're not educated at all. And also told, like, that topic, I know it's, like, exciting to you, but you're never allowed to talk about it, which, like, amps it up even more.
Can I
Also,
play
your
some
genitals are
music
bad.
while we-
Hide
Yeah,
them. Hide
totally.
them. Hide them.
Can
The
I? Is
law
it
of
okay if I play
prohibition.
some beautiful music while we talk about this?
Would love.
When I first heard about sex ed, I remember I was a young boy, Catholic school. I can't remember what grade it was, really. That's probably important information that I could share with you, but my brain don't work so well
I
these
like
days.
details.
Ballpark grade?
I would say
It was at a ballpark.
I did go to school at a ballpark. Me, 2 other
Ballpark
kids.
Elementary.
An 80-year-old favorite.
I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to say something like 4th grade, maybe.
That's what
I'll
I
take
remember.
it.
Does that sound
Yeah.
about right?
4th, 5th. Mm-hmm.
It could have been 5th also. Mrs. Tinkstrom was my 5th grade teacher.
Great teacher name.
A
good
lot of nuns in my school, a lot of teachers that were nuns. And I remember they separated the boys and girls
Yeah.
for sex ed.
Right.
Yes,
and the
they
girls,
did that in my public school as well.
yeah. So and I remember
What a great way to be like, we're going to give you guys some information. We're going to give the other guys the other side of the information, but don't talk about it to each other.
Totally.
Right.
Kind of works
Totally
out well
different
that way.
information,
It's
too.
like the chaperone thing where it's like they're like thinking that it's this forbidden thing, and then it just actually gives them something to talk about together.
right.
But
right.
I don't know because I went to private school, so I have no idea. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
Continue.
no. I don't have much to say about it other than I just remember it being really weird and I didn't get it and I wasn't into it. And I remember that there was this like book that was like it was like a Christian or like a Catholic leaning book about sex ed, and it was like robots, and it was like
What?
it was robots, and they were like little cartoony robots, and the male robot had like this like springy penis looking thing, and then the female robot had like a hole for the spring to go into. And I remember it's showing you like sex with these like weird cartoon robots.
Did their eyes pop out when it went?
Yeah, how far
The
did
steam
this go?
came out of its ears when it took its top off.
Do you think there's
Holy-
any way you could find
This
out?
is my question too.
did
Like,
it
I
squirt
need a copy
oil?
of this book.
Man, I wish I could. Let me see. Maybe I could Google search it.
Because just
and find
regular
it.
human liquids or robot liquids would make the other one short circuit. So it had to have been like a Tin Man oil thing.
Yeah, I
right?
remember being. Pretty
Joe, you're
young.
making the robot sex grosser than
Well,
the.
I feel like there's no
What if
way
the
there were
robot
like
had human
panels of the
ejaculate?
robots having sex.
No.
It was just
like
here's the
discre-
male body, here's the female body, but it's a robot.
But I
because it'd be
remember
too
the
explicit.
spring having like. I remember the spring being like not erect, and then the spring was erect.
Do you have a weird robot kink now? Just
Absolutely,
curious.
it's so hot. You know what's interesting? I actually do talk about how if the robot was incredibly convincing, like if I couldn't tell the difference between the person and the robot, but the robot was like a sex robot, I
Yeah.
would have sex with that robot.
Was there
Sure.
robo testes in the diagram?
I don't
or just
remember. I just
Robo-Peni?
remember the spring. I remember
Yeah.
being really weirded out by this spring. Wow. And being like, what is this?
I think. Hold on. Let me ask you a question. Okay, so you have this robot that you can't tell is a robot, and you're saying you would have sex with it.
it's like a person.
But
yeah.
an extension of that question would be, is it sex if it's with a robot, or is it just masturbation and the robot is a sex toy?
I mean, I guess it
Is
depends
the
on
robot
what the
capable of thought?
This is probably a question for the sex
I know.
ed teacher.
I was thinking. I think it's semantic. So
it is semantic.
Yeah,
So it's
like
sex.
well, because you're having sex with. I mean, it's like well, the closest thing I can think to that is like a real doll.
Right.
So, which is
Those
actually
big latex, creepy mannequin
Yeah.
dolls.
Hey, don't judge.
And have you ever like looked up videos of like a man, for instance, having sex with a female?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
With one of
it's-
those dolls,
Yeah,
it's
with the
weird
doll.
looking.
It's
like someone having
weird.
sex with a corpse.
Totally. But it is a human body, and so there is like a with sort of situation.
Ani's an understanding person, and she can see both sides.
I mean, that's very true. Thank you
Yeah,
for noticing
yeah.
that about me, Steve. But
'Cause she's not going to judge about how weird
No.
it is. She's just going to be like, I can see how that would work for that person.
for that person, it makes sense. Well, because also you can have sex with another human being and it just be like mutual masturbation because you guys aren't.
That's true.
Just
You
look
guys
at the-
went way too far
I
into your
think- I
imaginations
think-
about
No, I'm
sex
just
with the
trying
real
to-
Are
doll.
you guys uncomfortable
No,
about where
I'm
the
trying
conversation
to
No, I'm
is?
figure
not
out what my
uncomfortable at all.
opinion
I'm
is
super
on
cool
it.
with all
Okay,
this.
just
Hey,
leave
it's
me
awesome.
alone. Like everything's fine.
Where are your
Robot
sunglasses,
sex?
Steve?
I think this shit's rad. Put on your sunglasses, Steve.
No, give me your sunglasses.
Give me your sunglasses.
My thing about that's so wild to me is that there was a team of professional adults being paid to make that curriculum, and they're so
Yeah.
afraid of the human body
Yeah.
that they couldn't show it, and they were like, next best thing. And this was years ago. Robots were even like, what were robots to the world at that
Not-
time? Like very abstract,
sci-fi.
totally. So they're like, we'll just show them with robots. Why?
Imagine
You're
the
getting
drafts.
nothing from
I
that. You
know.
learned nothing.
It's like someone in some Catholic curriculum was like, "This'll do," because it's not exactly
It's not
a penis,
sexual or whatever.
And it's not exactly a vagina.
Exactly,
Yeah.
which is
It's-
not
you're right.
helpful.
But I think they really were doing their best, weren't they? I mean, look.
I mean, they were doing their best.
You could go deep into the whole controversy of like the mind control of religion and all this
Yeah.
stuff. But like,
Boring.
but truthfully, when you get down to it, it's just like parents wanting to have their children learn this in a way that's, it's just not. It's not specific.
Steve, I think you went to a school that was actually run by robots from the future, and they were trying to indoctrinate you
Yeah.
slowly. Were pictures of
something
of
got
God?
activated.
Was it a robot? Like, was everything robots?
There was some kind of Manchurian candidate
You
thing that
forgot
just
to mention
happened
your
right now.
teacher was also a robot.
My teacher was a robot.
Get back to the
and-
nativity scene, Steve. Were they robots? What was going on?
I've
Michael
never heard
Crichton.
you say anything positive about the Catholic Church.
Oh,
in my
dude.
entire
Well,
life,
listen,
like, years of
I
knowing it.
spent 9 years in that institution, and I saw the good and the bad of it, and I just saw something that wasn't for me more than anything.
Yeah, you saw the
robots?
teachers plugging themselves into the wall at night when all the kids were
I
leaving.
mean, let's be honest, dude. If I saw that, I would have loved it. I would have been like, "There's some fucking sci-fi nerd
You'd have
shit
been like,
going
I know
on."
how to have sex
and
with
I
these
can-
robots.
I mean, me and my friend Jeff used to pretend that like under the church there was like a catacombs with like evil Satan shit,
Cool.
and we had to protect the whole town from like
My,
this ancient evil under the church.
My church that I grew up in was a mega church, and it was a like 10,000 seat auditorium.
Whoa,
And,
like Righteous Gemstones.
like exactly
Yeah.
like that's why that's why I immediately was watching the show. And then the private school that was a part of it it was like a historic landmark that originally was like a nursing home. It used to be apartments for old people. And so when they built the church, they built this tunnel underground between the two, and you could access the tunnel from different areas of this like super like 1920s building.
Robot sex tunnels.
And you go down in there, and there would be these huge vaulted doors, which is always cool and to see. And then down the street was another church that had like a pasture nearby, and there was like a shed. And me and my buddy in high school went into that shed, and there was another tunnel that led from that shed to a different area.
Sex shed,
And
robot sex shed.
Yeah.
when we
this
went in
like-
there was all this stuff spray painted about Satan and 666.
What?
And we went in, and there was water up to like our shins, and they were gonna like walk all the way across and go through the tunnel. I was like, nope, not my
no way,
deal.
man.
And then we heard some kind of crazy sound, and we ran out. But I think it was just
This sounds
another
like-
friend scaring us. But yeah, it was so weird, man.
It's like Jim Jones shit.
I've seen too many underground tunnels in real life.
Yeah, why is there underground tunnels in a fucking mega church?
It's I don't remember.
We just
I know there's an answer. There's a very
Robot
large
I mean,
tunnel.
it sounds like it's like Jonestown shit.
It was like the tunnel in the megachurch was like the size of the circumference of this room, like the whole, like so a full-grown adults could walk straight through and
It's
still
for
be
the magic
standing.
tricks, you know, when they like disappear and then they show up behind the crowd.
like David Copperfield.
Yeah.
I think they did use it like for that.
Yeah.
Type of at times.
I mean, if you got it.
I love that detail though, because there is like shit going on in the underbelly of a
Yeah.
mega church, you
Oh,
know.
so
but there's
much
like
imagery.
literally a tunnel.
Yeah.
Well, it shows
Were you
in
guys all raised super religious?
No, I'm the one that was not.
Okay, I was too.
I'm a heathen.
Catholic, Christian.
Fundamentalist Christian biblical literalists. Dinosaurs didn't exist because they're not in the Bible. Though they're man-made.
Damn
to trick
straight.
us.
Hell yeah. I didn't need to go to
Science,
church to know
no.
that.
You're preaching to Joe.
Robot sex, yes. Dinosaurs never
Yeah,
existed.
yeah.
How
Yes.
is that like flat earther type stuff, or
So
is
I have
it
four
like
parents. You know, my parents are remarried.
brag.
And,
Yeah. Jeez.
sorry, I like to say it when I have the chance.
that's fine. It's nice to have those parents. Imagine having more.
But also, they're all like Trump supporters. Like a
Yikes.
couple of them are flat earthers. Like
Now you're making Elliot uncomfortable. I'm just kidding. I was just.
It's
that's
a flat
joke.
earth.
It's a joke.
You could
It's a
fall
flat-
off
we
if
are on
you
a
walk
flat
one
earth.
way too far.
So you grew up in the super religious thing too. How was what was sex ed like for you?
So I also in 5th grade had the one day where they separate the girls and the boys, and I think that I think there was a video because my mom wouldn't allow me to participate in
Oh,
it.
you didn't get to watch.
No, so she signed a little waiver or sent a note, and I went and sat in the cafeteria alone. Like every other kid was allowed to watch this stupid
Yeah,
video.
but the
And-
cafeteria had masturbating Jim, the janitor.
Watching over everybody.
so I did get some sex ed.
Well, they called him that because he was a good fisherman. though.
Yeah,
It
well, he
wasn't
always
because of
cleaned
the
it up.
So, do you think? I mean, you started to make me think about that idea of like not letting your kid go to school on sex ed day because you're afraid of how sex ed will be portrayed to that person, to your child. And it makes me wonder, is that something that you should have the right to do, you think?
Totally.
Especially if it's a scientific thing that you're being taught and
Do you
not
mean
really
as a
like
parent?
yeah.
Like
Sure, yeah.
as a parent,
Yeah.
you have ultimate authority
Sure.
to opt your kids out of things. Like I've thought about, because like this project for me is attached to teaming up with organizations, which I've already started to do, which I'm very grateful for, and we can talk about that, to get better laws passed, to get better curriculum that's more comprehensive in schools. Now, coming from a really fundamentalist Christian background, like I know a lot of parents are like, don't say anything about the human body around my child, and we have to defer to them. Like, you know, they're in no way can we like force information down
Yeah,
the
that's just
throats
not
of
right.
kids.
You're right.
But for me, I feel like the best way to go about it is to do kind of like a really comprehensive program that's kind of like DARE that goes from school to school, and for like a week.
It'd be called Truth or Dare.
And it'd be
Ooh,
called
that's nice.
Truth or
No,
Dare.
just take it. Don't call it truther, and then you'll get all
Oh,
the people.
truther.
That's true. Well,
Your
the
classes
people
will be
who would typically be turned off by this would be very
Is
interesting.
there
Yeah.
anything called truther? That hurts my brain. What if there was an app called Truther?
There probably is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there must be, right?
Download
Yeah.
it right now.
Yeah.
No. I don't want to be on those lists. I don't want to be on a...
Ryan's on it.
Someone's going to log my IP the second I search for that.
When you, not to derail too much, but when you were a teacher, do you miss
There's
it?
so much,
What
yeah.
and what was like was it a slow process of deciding you weren't going to do it anymore, or all of a sudden? Oh, just slow process.
Yeah. So like the first 5 years, I would say, I was like, don't talk to me about the politics of this. Like, I'm not going to be one of those teachers that goes to the staff meeting and complains about the system. I'm here for the kids. I love the kids. That's why I do what I do. Like, not going to get caught up in all of the pitfalls.
Yeah.
And that lasted for a while. And I was also very focused, you know, like I also taught students with special needs, mild to moderate. So a lot of behavior issues, autism, speech and language. So it's a very challenging job.
Yeah, you're doing God's work.
So,
That's tough.
So every day, you know, it's like this puzzle that you have to solve. And I just poured all of my energy into doing well for my students. And then I think after like 5-ish years, I started to be like, so this is harder because I don't have curriculum for all of the grade levels of the kids in my classroom. Why don't I have curriculum? And then like asking the principal, like, how come I don't have all the books that I need? Like, you know, you start to know your rights, you know, and start to pay attention. And then that, slowly got harder and harder. Like there, specifically kids with special needs in the school system are really, really discriminated against. And then there was this other thing of like, I am spending all of my energy teaching these kids about stuff that they're too young to comprehend. And we're not teaching them how to like be alive. Like we aren't teaching them about their feelings or their emotions or like anxiety or communication or like just like basic practical tools of like being alive and being happy, you know? And that really started to bother me because I wasn't raised with any of that either. And I was such a sad, anxious, depressed kid into being a teenager. I just wanted to die all the time. I couldn't understand like
even just if I didn't know the concept of quote unquote mindfulness as a kid,
self-care,
it would have helped so much to just be like, oh, I'm having these feelings. That's not
and even just to be able to label the feelings. Can you imagine?
Yeah, I mean that's like insane. And then I've read certain things about them trying to kind of incorporate that into schools now, but yeah, I'm sure it's still experimental too, and then parents get freaked out by it because it's like
because they never got the tools to talk about it either.
Uneducated
Nobody
themselves.
is.
Yeah.
Well,
they
Joe,
can't identify
you're a dad with 2 kids. What's your whole
shame on you?
Shame on you. What's
Thank you
what's
for
your
revealing that to the
experience?
audience. Fuck, now I got to deal with that.
What's your experience with this with sex ed and kind of like
Hayden's
feelings?
Hayden's
and
12, so she's just kind of getting into that realm. And I've talked about it before. I've had some small conversations with her, but what I find is that when I try to talk to her about emotionality and her feelings and stuff like that, even at 12, they're going through so many changes, and I would say she's not the most open right now about her feelings in trying to communicate that she can be. It's still a hard, and I consider myself a pretty open guy and been very open about my feelings with her, but it takes time. It takes work for somebody to do that. So my expectations when I get frustrated sometimes where I'm like, I want you to be able to talk to me about when you're scared or when you're hurting and all that. But she doesn't have the tools yet. And I feel like the only way that I can help further that along is to keep asking, is to keep showing her my side, like talk about when I'm angry or sad or frustrated.
Lead by example.
And give her an example. But I also know that my tools only go so far. So, there's a realm where I wish there was something that was really easy, like a program that was easy to jump into, whether it's as a family or the school or whatever. Because when you were talking about the sex ed, the question that I was going to ask you that was that I would imagine would be frustrating is they teach you the science. Like you're splitting up the girls and the guys, and you sit there and you're like, you're about to have your period, and that's about to start, and your body's going to change. And
like I didn't know what a fucking period was.
Yeah, and they kind of talk about
Right.
sex a little bit
Crazy.
on a scientific level, but they don't touch. If I remember correctly, and they didn't with my daughter when she went through it, they don't touch on the emotional side of it. They don't. They're not like yes, you might make a baby. Yes, you might get STDs. Danger, danger, danger. Here's consequences. But they don't talk about like the beauty of it and the connection. Danger, danger, danger. Robot sex. So yeah, I mean,
that was one of my biggest points is like, how is it that when we're talking to kids about this very emotional topic that like releases a bunch of emotions that you have no fucking idea how to handle, why is there no warning or conversation about that?
So when you
So dangerous.
when you kind of fell off or got disinterested in the teaching stuff, what
It
was
seems like you were beaten down a lot.
Yeah, I was
by,
gonna say
by
disinterested,
you found a
yeah.
lot
Yeah.
of you hit a lot of walls with wanting to teach your kids and not
Yeah.
getting permission to teach them
also,
certain things. And
we are currently in a society where being a teacher, it's not something that's being cherished, and I imagine that's so tough to deal with
I
when
know.
you're
Remember
going.
when we were kids and they were like, "Love your teachers," and teachers are like superheroes, and I remember that being such a big thing. And I remember respecting my teachers and letting them have the benefit of the doubt because they were humans trying to get their shit done too.
Now everything's
I just don't
underfunded,
understand
and it's
why
the teacher's fault.
Yeah.
No.
I'll say this: I had really good relationships with my students and their families. I always felt very like cherished in my classroom and like in what I did. But the system really crippled me from being able. So like just for instance, I had kinder, first, second, and third graders in my class, and I was expected to give all of them a complete education every year. Impossible. Can't do it.
Nope.
So I have like teaching assistants who like adult employees who are in the class, and I have to like break kids up based on ability, but I can only teach one group at a time. And these adults have to have no qualifications. So I would walk by and catch my teaching assistant teaching kindergartners the wrong math, how to read incorrectly, like
Well, this is how I learned how to do math. So
Yeah.
please step off.
yeah, like really bad. Just
Holy
like
shit.
all of
Or
the
whatever
conditions are really,
accent
really
they
bad.
have.
And there's like
This
no
is how I learned to do that. Please step off.
Or maybe they talk like anybody else.
that one. That one.
That's the
That's the
one.
one.
That's the
yeah.
one.
how I
You
learned.
know that
She
guy.
went to my class too. Yeah, but you know the year before I started team teaching, and I'll explain that in a second. My principal, we were going to adopt this program called Renaissance, and it I don't know if you guys had that, but like in middle school I had it. It's basically an extracurricular program, teaches you like social responsibility.
Oh,
so
Jesus.
my-
I would have loved that.
Yeah. So my principal was like, "Oh, we're adopting Renaissance in the district." She said, "I'm going to give it to you. You can do whatever you want with it because I know you've been wanting to create this extracurricular program, teach kids mindfulness and stuff." So she let me, and I got to do that. And it was for gen ed kids, 4th, 5th graders. You had to like pick and choose what kids could be a part of it. And it was before school every other Friday, so for like an hour. And it wasn't that long, but we got to talk about mindfulness. I would like teach them yoga. We would just like start to identify what our feelings are, talk about whatever, just like morality and stuff like that.
And there's people who get angry about that. There's people that are like, I don't want my kids learning that shit. That's like
Totally.
that's that soft shit that's going to make
Totally.
them not
Yeah.
rough enough for the real world.
Well,
and
it also makes it harder to
Notice I
control,
didn't use an accent.
control your kids if they start thinking for themselves.
Absolutely. That's absolutely correct. Yeah.
I remember my brother having a struggle on whether he even wanted to teach his kids about Santa.
I wasn't allowed to believe in Santa.
So,
So all your friends were
Which is
like,
weird
Santa's
because he
coming to
totally
give me gifts.
is
And you're
real.
like, what
Well,
the fuck?
I
It's
was
real,
the
magic is
little
real.
brat who would go to school and I'd be like, guess what? It's your parents. Like, compare the
Cut it out.
handwriting. And
Right.
my
Give
mom,
it a timestamp.
my mom.
Cut it out, cut it
My
out, cut it out.
mom would get angry phone calls. Like, can you please tell your daughter to stop ruining Christmas?
You were probably so sad to
Yeah.
be like not allowed to like pretend with all your friends.
I still, Christmas is still the
not
most
pretend.
magical thing in the world to me, but I never got to have that. And I am sad because, like, how fucking magical to believe that this guy is going to fly on.
Oh, you got no idea. It's magical.
yeah.
Wait,
It's awesome.
But I mean, but the reason why I bring it up is
Yeah.
because my brother was like, I don't know whether to teach my kids about Santa because it's so close to like, the whole religious thing, and it's so close, and then I have to do that. And it's like, do I want to do that? And then it's like, because Santa is kind of like God light, right? Like religion light in a way, or
I
at
was
least
always
it's like
thought he
a
was pagan and, like,
companion.
evil.
I would probably follow a little bit more religion if I was promised presents all the time.
There
But
you
that's
go.
the thing. But the presents we were promised,
and
in
that
the-
brings us
in-
back to religion.
But the presents
Presents
we
is
are
everlasting eternity. I get it now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying, Joe. That's the idea. Is that
But-
the idea of Santa is very close to the idea of if you behave, your reward is a present. If you behave, your reward is heaven. And it's like
and you're
this.
punished with coal if you don't.
Right,
There's,
and you're-
yeah,
right.
That's the warning to
Our
him.
friend Cole, he's a real big man.
You just have to listen to his poems. But should I do some of Cole's
poems.
This is Cole's poem, episode 2.
You've been a good boy.
I walked down the road.
Oh, God, I should have been a better boy.
Gravel
You did this.
at my toes. I walked down the road. There's 2 hours of this, so get comfortable. But no, it's like, it's very close stuff, but it's all about that idea of like, Joe, the reason why I even brought it up is because you were like, letting your children go to something where you get to explore your feelings and explore, social ideas could lead to your kid getting like too smart for their
Not in my house.
and like and defying these rules that you've established
Shut your mouth
in
and
a
keep these
potentially
demon thoughts out of her
unfair
head.
in a potentially unfair environment. Hayden, it's okay. This is real. Listen to this. But no, I mean it's complex stuff because like as a parent, I'm sure you have an idea of how you want your kids to be raised, and
Barely.
and then you have to kind of almost throw that out the window when you throw them into a mix of like 250 other kids or 300 kids, It's Jesus. It's rough, man. That's scary shit. All right, hey guys, welcome to the ad portion of the podcast. We're having a lovely time with our guest Ani Baker, but before we get back to that interesting stuff, let's just get some ads out of the way, huh?
Guys, let me tell you about something I did this morning. I wanted some breakfast, so I used the service I'm about to tell you about, ladies and gentlemen. It's called Postmates.
Never heard of it.
Well, let me tell you, Steve, when you need red wine at 4 p.m., sushi at 9 p.m., or in my case, breakfast at 8 a.m., a breakfast burrito
You mean
at
like
8
a
a.m.
normal
That's
person?
Like exactly what it says right there on the copy. That doesn't count. If it's a personal experience and it's on the copy, it's still a personal experience. And ibuprofen at 10 a.m. I took ibuprofen at 10 a.m. too because of my foot. Anyway, I could have Postmated it too. Postmates is your personal food delivery, grocery delivery, whatever kind of delivery service all year round. Anything you're craving, Postmates can deliver. They're the largest on-demand network in the U.S. and offer delivery from all of the restaurants, grocery, and convenience stores and traditional retailers you could possibly want or need. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, Postmates will bring you what you need within the hour.
It's like every day.
Every day. No more trips to the store. You don't even have to know where the store is. Doesn't matter. Postmates will deliver anything to you. Download the app for iOS or Android for free. Browse local restaurants and businesses and track your delivery in real time. For a limited amount of time, Postmates is giving our listeners $100 of free delivery credit for your first 7 days. So to start your free deliveries, download the app and use the code Valleycast. That's code Valleycast for $100 of free delivery credit for your first 7 days when you download the Postmates app. Anything you need, anytime you need it. Postmate it. Download Postmates and save with the code Valleycast. I do truly use Postmates so much, and I love it so much, and it's so convenient, and it's a nice way. I always say this, it's a nice way to try restaurants without actually having to go try them, and that's a fun thing, too.
I agree
if you
with
want to stay
that.
inside, watch a movie, have a little date night, you can do it all with the Postmates folks. Anyway,
Oh, good job. I commend you on your read.
thank you.
Now it's my turn. Guys, personal style is like a fingerprint. Everyone has their own. Well, you got like at least 10. You have 10 fingerprints at least. You got 10 of your own.
I don't know. That math checks
You know
out.
what? I could be wrong, and I do not mean to.
10 identical fingerprints.
Yep. Okay. Well, whatever your style, the experts at Stitch Fix are ready to help you express yourself. I had to slow it down because I've been messing up that read every time I say it fast. Stitch Fix.
You can say it any way you want,
Stitch
Joe.
Fix. I've been saying it wrong a lot. I'm very sorry. Anyways, Stitch Fix is an online personal styling service that delivers your favorite clothing brands right to your door. To get started, go to stitchfix.com. Almost did it there.
Yeah, you did.
/Valley to answer some questions about your preferred style, and your personal shopper will ship you a box of clothes, shoes, and accessories. I asked for 2 different types of shoes once, and they did it. I got 2 shoes at once. It was great.
Whoa.
It's very normal.
With Stitch Fix, everyone can look their best,
Most
and
people
they
get 2
have
shoes at the same
solutions
time.
for get
When they
this.
order shoes, they do get 2.
Sorry, I got 2 pairs of shoes. I'm sorry, I messed it up again. God.
Stitch Fix.
We're
Mr.
starting
Goody
it over.
2 Shoes over here.
Goody 2 shoes, good.
Mr. Tooty Good Shoes over here.
2
Guys,
pairs of good shoes over here.
if you guys need 2 good pairs of good shoes, use Stitch Fix. They have solutions for men, women, and kids all over the U.S. And now, get this, the U.K. Bam. There's no commitment required, and you only pay for what you keep. Shipping, exchanges, and returns are always free. Plus, the $20 styling fee is automatically applied towards anything you keep from your box, playa. You're never going to have to think about looking good again with Stitch Fix. So to get started today, go to stitchfix.com/Valley to get an extra 25% off when you keep everything in your box.
You're going to want it.
Stitchfix.
You're going to want to keep it.
.com/Valley. One more time, stitchfix.com/Valley.
That's
Bam.
nice.
Thank
I
you,
like
Stitch
that, Joe.
Fix.
Hey, can I say something now really
Yes.
quick? I've been waiting patiently to say it, and I can't wait to say it now with the cue of some music here. Guys, it's officially the holidays. Everybody knows it, and people are already shopping for gifts. Smart people, anyway. But before you freak out about what to get your boyfriend who you've only been dating for 4 months,
What do I get, Dale?
or what to get your mailman.
Cole.
Is that a thing? Do you get your mailman stuff? Or the fact that we
People
have to
do,
go
yes.
to the mall. Listen up. MeUndies is anything but ordinary. They have a gift for literally everyone. Yes, including your weird aunt who likes Brussels sprouts.
It has 9 fingerprints.
Brussels sprouts are good. I felt bad. And 9 fingerprints. And anything. And the best part is they deliver straight to your door with free shipping. So all you got to do is wrap it.
I can't
If
do
you're that
Brussels
kind of
sprouts
person.
unless they're like roasted. They have to be like, they can't
Yeah,
be squishy. If
raw
they're squishy,
Brussels
I
sprouts
can't do
are
it.
too much.
They can't
I like
be
a squishy
steamed.
Brussels.
I don't like a squisher.
Interesting. That's a holiday miracle right there, ladies and gentlemen. Getting things shipped to your door for free. Guys, MeUndies is a company that is trusted amongst the Valley folk and others. A lot of friends.
It's one of the few products or brands that we have that people will come up to me after live shows and they'll be like, I just got a question. MeUndies, is it really that good? And I'm always like, yeah, man. It's actually really that good.
100%.
And then you pull up your MeUndies that you're currently wearing right now.
I did just that,
Yes, you
yeah.
did.
And then you spend the night in a drunk tank because you got arrested.
Yeah, I did.
For showing your underwear to a stranger.
Yeah, don't do that.
That's good.
You were out of school.
What?
And speaking of not wanting to leave the house, MeUndies makes the perfect hibernation undies and loungewear. Whether you're looking to match undies with your boo this cuffing season or just wanting to cuddle up with your favorite furry friend in a onesie, MeUndies has you covered. Literally.
You said cuffing season?
Yeah.
What's that?
You never heard of cuffing season?
No.
Do you know what cuffing season is? I think it's a Canadian thing, isn't it?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
We're going to look it up.
I'm going to do some googs after
Why don't you
this.
tell us what cuffing season is, ladies and gentlemen? I've heard of it before. I can't remember what it was, though. Anyway, the fabric is 3 times softer than cotton and offered in sizes extra small to 4XL to 4XL, and that's 3 times softer than cotton. It's like being 3 times softer than those cute little marshmallows on the top of your hot cocoa, you sweet little thing. And MeUndies knows it's friggin' cold out, which is why they're coming out with even more cuddly products this holiday season. Cozy up in their new robes for men and women. Oh man, this is a huge piece of news. This is a massive amount. This is great news.
We're re-recording the podcast.
They're robes for men and women. You can treat your feet in their new soft slippers.
Good God.
Guys, they're slippers.
What's happening?
And of course, match the whole fam with their soft new baby bodysuit. And two, with brand new holiday prints and cozy new products, MeUndies has your gift for literally everyone.
Me.
So
Just
guys,
gifts for me.
MeUndies has a great offer for listeners and for anytime purchasers. You get 15% off and free shipping. It's a no-brainer, especially because they have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. So to get your 15% off your first pair, free shipping, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/Valley. That's MeUndies.com/Valley and check it out.
Back to the show.
Let's go back to full circle to where we started. Tell us about the movie.
Yeah. What ended up being the last year of teaching, I started team teaching, which was something that was available in my district, basically for like women with families who also wanted to be home with their kids. But I took advantage of it. Basically, if you can find another teacher who wants to share the classroom with you, you can split up your schedule.
That's cool.
And at the time, I was starting to like come up with ideas of like I had this like latent desire to make documentary films, but that wasn't nurtured in my environment. Like you pick a path that's,
You chose to be a teacher. You're a teacher now. You're a teacher forever.
And I had to like really
No
learn
take-backsies.
and grow. Exactly. I had to like
Don't
learn
change your
and
life
grow.
ever. You made all the right decisions when you were 17. Done.
Yeah.
You can't grow.
Yeah. And to like believe in my own ideas and believe in my own voice and stuff, that took a lot of like really intentional work. And then I met one of my favorite filmmakers, Sean Dunn. I was a fan of his, and then I went to a screening of his and went and told him afterward just what his films meant to me, and we became friends. He became a mentor of sorts. And then one of my documentary ideas was this, and we were talking about it over Skype, and he was just like, that's a great idea, and if you make that, I'll executive produce it.
Cool.
There was something
Holy
I just
shit.
was like, oh, well, the mark of approval of like literally my hero, maybe this is something I can do. So I decided to team teach so that I could have 2 days a week to work on this. And then I taught in the classroom 3 days a week. And there was this woman, Cheryl Watkins, who was about to retire, but she wasn't fully ready to retire. So it worked for both of us. And that was great. But then at the end of that year, she did retire. And then I had to make the choice, scrap all the progress I had made over the past year and go back to teaching full time, or actually leave because I couldn't find anyone else who wanted to team teach. And that was really, really difficult. But I had already been lamenting the school system so much. I also like made no money and had such high student loan payments every month that like my friends who worked in bars always made more money than I did and lived I wasn't able to like really live a life outside of the classroom, which didn't bother me for the longest time. That was my calling, and that's what I did with my time and energy. But after a while, it's like I'm working so fucking hard. Like it's such a taxing. I loved it, but it's a taxing job, and I just wasn't able to like have a life outside of it. So sort of like all of these things combined, especially with not being able like having to go back to full-time teaching and scrap the progress I had made, it just felt wrong.
You sound like all of the interviews of those horribly sad like exit interviews from teachers from Oklahoma this year.
What is that?
They like their school system just like was falling apart. No taxes were going to the teachers. The pay was horrible, and they were all like, "This was my calling, but I can barely eat." And there's no books, and the only reason there's supplies in the classroom is because we're paying for them as teachers.
Oh my God, hundreds of
It
dollars
comes
every month
out of your own paycheck.
Yes.
So like in Oklahoma, they all there's like a massive shortage because they were all like, we can't live this way anymore.
Yeah.
I love my kids, and I hate that my calling isn't going to be something that I get to follow right now. But my friends at a bar make more money.
Yeah.
And
Man, how do we fix this shit? Because that sucks real bad.
Yeah.
And I know it's been a problem for a really long time, and it's not a new thing to ask how to fix that. But nobody's thinking about it really because there's so much other shit going on. But really, the change of this world begins with kids for sure.
I think if we ignore the problems, we'll probably fix it.
yeah, they'll be fine.
Yeah. It'll
Anyways,
be fine
so-
by next week.
Tangent
I think.
gone. More
so wait,
movie.
so
More movie.
Ani, you had to make a very tough decision, but you decided to shift your focus on still helping.
Yeah, I wanted to try to help improve the school system from the outside because I really didn't have any power from within. I tried to change a lot of things about it. I tried to like improve things, and I tried to create a website so that special ed teachers could share ideas they came up with in their classroom, and the district shut it down. They were like, you could upload anything on this website, no way to regulate it. Just like,
Wow, what does that even
Nightmare.
mean? What was
Truly
that?
nightmare.
What was that motivated by? You think? Not to get too into the
Them saying
negative
no
of the
or me wanting to
situation.
do it?
Them saying no.
oh, because school districts are in litigation with tons of families at all times, especially
Karens.
for kids with special needs. Like every kid with special needs has a legal document called an IEP, and like they are being sued left and right, and there's
Jesus
so
Christ.
much fear of litigation that that was a risk for them to allow a tenured teacher to create a website for other teachers to use in the district, because I could technically upload nudes and then it would like come back on them. You know what I mean? Like they go worst
They just
case
didn't
scenario.
want another thing on top of all the other shit they were dealing with.
So stupid. So anyway, I was like, I'm going to try
What a
to make
mess.
this and like build a platform and just try to connect with people who are doing this work and help with it. And basically the film that I finished, I pointed to that like the film is on that camera. I don't know what that was.
It's
Well,
on
that's
the-
part
it's
of
on the
it.
memory card.
The whole rest of it is on here, and we're recording over it with this.
We have one card, and we thought this was more important.
We'll be
It's
right
gonna be
back,
a
everybody.
It's
Thank
a
you
good
for-
scene.
Sorry, that didn't.
Is
time
Cole
very
back? Is it Cole?
well. So you decided to attack it from the outside.
Yeah.
So what? So that's what this whole thing is, to kind
Yeah.
of just like shine light on an area of education that is seldom.
Yeah. What's
Shown on.
What would you say is what's the overall thesis statement of the film? Of the
Well,
documentary?
what I ended up doing with this, it's the third iteration of this project. Originally, I wanted to talk to like current and former products of the school system. I wanted to talk to like kids and young adults. And I did get access to some of them, but getting them to open up about this on camera was tricky. I didn't have everything I needed to make it what I wanted it to be. What I ended up doing is this film is called Who's Your Teacher? And I talked to 6 adult film stars about, okay, let me back up. I read an article in my research for this project because I just had Google alerts for sex ed laws in America and stuff by a French adult film star named Nikita Bellucci. And she's livid in this article. She's like, I get messages from young people all the time asking me like, why does my body do this? What does this mean? I want to do this. And how do I do it? And she's like, I'm not an educator. I'm a porn star. Parents, teachers, do your fucking job.
They're
These
coming to
questions
us.
shouldn't be coming to me. And that really stood out to me. I found that very compelling. I saved that article. I thought about it a lot. And so this film is talking to adult film stars about the messages they receive from young people and how they've been thrust into the role of pseudo-educator because there's a dearth of education.
Wow.
And
Girth of education.
God damn it.
We'll be right back.
I was going to say, we got to pause for a second. Just let it
Guys,
be.
this episode's brought to you by Quiznos. Gross.
Also, I miss Quiznos.
I miss Quiznos so much.
The other day, like, wasn't it so fucking good?
It was so fucking
Yeah,
good.
it was really good.
Is it still good?
80% of the real estate in that restaurant was a big old oven.
Dude, they had some fucking steak ass sandwich.
Warm,
Chicken
real
carbonara.
warm,
Oh, the
good.
chicken
Yo, can I have
carbonara.
one
Come
steak
on.
ass?
Good sauces.
Dude, give me that steak ass. Those sauces, mama mia.
Get
And that
like
bread
an
bowl
extra and you
too.
dip it in. Yeah. Is Quiznos still around?
Nah, I mean maybe not around here though. I don't think.
I also loved their commercials with those little
Those
weird
little guys,
mice.
yeah.
I loved that. I loved it.
I think they were chinchillas.
No, they were. It was almost like they were.
What if it was the Mandela effect and it never existed and we all like remember it but we
Well,
can't
what if
find
they were the Berenstein Bears?
Whoa, Berenstain, Joe.
Berenstain.
So
Bear stains.
that's so interesting. So do you think that that's the issue with litigation against school districts and things like that? Do you think that that's the number one problem with getting new curriculum?
No, it's that we live in a Christian nation, and especially like the school system, a
I'm outta
government funded organization, like all of it.
I'm out of here and I'm going to pray.
I'm gonna pray for you.
Yeah.
You're obviously sick.
All of my coworkers are like, it's a Christian career, like for the most part. Like it attracts certain types of people, and I think people higher up like creating the education for this country. Like I think typically they're conservative people, and we are. I say we. With this, like trying to roll out better, more comprehensive curriculum, we're up against just conservatism.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the main hurdle, because people are so afraid of sex. Why? Because the Bible says it's bad in these ways. It literally goes back to that. That's why I was raised thinking it was so wrong. It's a sin, you know?
Have you seen the Big Mouth episode on sex ed?
I just started watching
That
Big
show's
Mouth.
amazing.
and
I haven't even
watched
started
maybe
it.
like 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Aren't that all of them kind of like, what do you mean specifically?
Well, there's one specific episode where Coach Steve plays the sex ed teacher, and he quickly realizes that the students know more about it than he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's a number of musical numbers that sort of explain different ideas about STDs, about sexual orientation, and all that stuff. And it's very good. Yeah, if you get a chance to check it
Yeah.
out, But then at the very end, they do make a joke where Nick Kroll's his like, and lastly, we want to say thank you to the liberal agenda for allowing us to make these jokes, even though we didn't really want to, but you asked us to. We're gonna see you tweet soon. Bye. And it's like
got
they like
it.
own the
Yeah,
fact
yeah,
that they were
yeah.
basically trying to be educational with this episode while going, we're gonna get so much crap
Sure,
for this.
sure.
It's very fun. I think you would enjoy it, or
Okay.
at least be like, no, everything they're saying is wrong. But that
No,
could work too.
people recommend Big Mouth to me a lot, specifically because of this project, and I've just only watched 3 episodes. That's the end of my story.
Do you
Yeah.
feel like, so if you're battling more or less a conservative ideals, do you feel like having porn stars be kind of like your voice is kind of a taboo?
Yeah, a little naughty. Okay, so
Yeah.
this is my goal with this film. I want this to get the attention of, I don't know, whatever, producers, like anyone that would want to help me make this into a series. And the series, I want to explore sex ed laws across the country and have it be more like family oriented and stuff. This I want to use as like a door opener and a way to connect to people. And hopefully, you know, it's good enough. I think it's good. And the feedback I've received is that it's good and it's moving and stuff. I hope that it's titillating enough and interesting enough that other adults with resources I don't have will want to team up with me, and then I'll make something more palatable for the people.
Yeah, because
Does that
sex
make
sells.
sense?
It's a hook.
But unless it's about,
Totally.
sex.
I mean, but it is
Right.
such an interesting perspective too to kind of go to the adult film industry in the sense that it's like, that industry is here to stay. It's not going anywhere, and they're sex workers and they're providing a service
Right.
that is, let's just face it, it's a service that works. It's
And
a
that
service
is
that's
needed.
necessary and
Yeah.
needed.
Well, and that industry too has gone from, with the internet becoming the most popular thing in the world, the connection that the viewer has to the porn star is now stronger than it was like back in
Absolutely.
however long ago. So it's like, that means people, when they do have a question, are going to be more likely to be like, oh, I know who this person is. I'm going to ask them this question, and it's a safe
fascinating.
environment.
Yeah.
I know they have experience. They're clearly okay talking about
They have a
stuff.
Twitter account where they talk about
Exactly,
this
yeah.
stuff.
So it makes
Yeah,
sense.
They have an
Everyone
Instagram.
else is afraid. They're not afraid. It's almost like going to a source in a way. What's interesting, too, is that I wanted to talk to teachers, administrators. It was hard for me. as a teacher to get other teachers to want to talk to me about this on camera. When I finally went to the porn stars, that was when I all of a sudden got a bunch of yeses. I even had to go to the porn stars to get
But I mean-
information
Don't wanna
about
talk
this.
about it.
No.
They could
And-
also lose their job real quick if a
Exactly.
student's parents finds out
It's
that
so
they're
fear-based. It's
I
so
mean-
sad.
Yeah. It's so sad because it's like and I know you guys haven't seen it. I don't need to keep saying I say this in the documentary, but like it is such a fun, it's just our humanity. Like it becomes sexuality later, but these things that start to like pop up, these curiosities or like feelings or whatever, it's just human. There's nothing shameful about it. What is shameful is if we don't educate and we allow those feelings and desires to become weaponized, which they kind of naturally do. You know, like one of the things I said at the screening is there was a kid, a gen ed kid at the school I taught at, who was suspended, I think he was in 5th grade, for shouting to a girl on the playground, "Your thighs are thick like my big juicy dick."
Holy shit.
And I Googled it and it's like not a lyric. Like he presumably made that
and
up.
I apologized
That
about
was
it.
Cole. That was Cole's first poem.
Yeah, it was about Mrs. Claus.
Jesus,
Yeah.
that's
Oh.
awful.
Well, so he's joking, right? Like
Right.
but he's already weaponizing this deeply personal and possibly problematic and can be very destructive topic, you know? And that comes so naturally. Also with like, when I was in 5th grade, we had a thing at my school, an unofficial holiday, if you will, called Friday Flip Up Day. And if you wore a skirt on Friday, you're going to skirt fucking flipped up because that's what it is, and the boys are going to do it. So you don't,
Oh, shit.
you don't wear a skirt on Friday. But I remember one time I forgot and I wore a skirt on Friday. And I like came to school and I went like, oh no, like it's Friday Flip Up Day. Like everyone's going to see my underwear at recess. And I just spent the whole day feeling like so insecure and scared, and then just had to allow it to happen because I should have known it was Friday Flip Up Day. I'm wearing a skirt and I got my skirt
when
flipped
you're
up.
the asshole if you don't participate
Totally.
in it. Yeah.
And it never crossed my mind because I wasn't educated about this topic. Like my body and my space and boundaries and consent wasn't a thing I knew about. I was just like, my
And
skirt's getting flipped up.
The other and the flippers and all the flippers and flippies in that situation, none of them were taught about it. Any of
Absolutely.
that, you know.
Yeah.
Are you optimistic in the like following having made this thing? Are you optimistic about where the direction is going, or is it sort of like DEFCON
Uphill battle.
You know, I'll say I think I'm pretty realistic with a tinge of optimism. Like the mindset that I'm up against, I'm used to being up against it. I was raised by it. So I feel sort of like trained to deal with it. So I'm not afraid. But already, like, the film isn't even out, and I've partnered with this company called Bloom they used to just make like cosmetics and like period products for women, and now they've really expanded, and they are launching a 2020 campaign to get better curriculum in the school district. And so like I'm one of their partners, and they like put me on their website, and they're going to help me. I'm going to help them. They also make conversation cards that you can buy and use for your kids that just like
wow.
start conversations and help you just bridge these topics, you know?
If you'd ever like to get to know him.
So
Yeah.
what you're kind of
Yeah.
what you're alluding to a little bit is you can't save everybody, but
Not
there
even
are
close.
options.
Yeah.
And if you feel like you're a parent that's struggling with how to teach their child about these things, there are options and there are ways to kind of navigate this. You know, not to like villainize this conservative ideal, but but in a sense, it's like, you know, that's the whole thing. We all have our idea of how things should go and how we should teach our children and how we should be more open about sexuality, because in the long run we think it would be a better thing to do.
Right.
But there are a lot of people that believe that that's not the way to do it, and I don't think that's ever going to change.
I would also add, though, that I'm not a parent, so I don't know the sense or the fear that comes with wondering
Totally.
what people are going to tell your kid that you have no control
Totally.
over. And
It's
and
terrifying.
Yeah, and so I can understand a knee-jerk reaction to an extent, but I think what happens is the villainizing, like, everyone seems to be coming at it from what you're saying from this angle, like with a very good heart of like actually being like, no, this is like okay, like we can actually talk about this and like, you know, normalize it a little bit. And it just sucks that it gets so vitriolic in the
And I think
process.
how that changes, if that can change, is just by implementing new curriculum and people by word of mouth or whatever seeing that it's helping and
That's
isn't making
okay.
anything worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is fascinating that there's the angle of the adult film world being an answer to for young people to come to them to ask questions, because it's interesting because, you know, obviously with the internet, pornography is such an easy thing to access, and our children.
Really? Tell me more.
Well, Joe, there's this place called
Write that down.
www.sex.com.
All right. Well,
But it's so fascinating to me that, of course, there would be people going to porn stars.
Yeah.
Of course there would be, because these are those people that are like so open that they're showing parts of their body that you didn't even know you could show on camera, essentially. And these people are so comfortable with their bodies and with the function of their reproductive organs and such. And it's so fascinating that, of course, that would be a place for someone to
Do
go.
they answer more questions, like how to maybe start a small business and open up a corporation through Delaware? I feel like if they're this open about sex, like, will they answer some of them?
It's a great
Some of the
question, Joe. We'll be
non-sexual
right
questions?
back.
I will give you their contact info. Yeah.
Can there be any PR classes? For
One thing I realized when doing this project is like we've all turned to are having sex because we've seen people in porn have sex. Like, imagine how different the type of sex you have would be if you hadn't watched people have sex in porn.
Boring.
Robots. Imagine if robot sex
you're
is
right.
all you knew.
You're right.
It just it literally shapes how we interact in that way, which is wild to me. Like, we're all doing what we've seen in porn. All of us.
Totally. To some degree, and
degree.
to the detriment of those on the receiving end of those things.
I can't make
You
fun
guys
unless
are all
Ron
getting your
Jeremy
face
is there.
dunked in toilets, right?
Yeah,
Oh
of course.
my God.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't.
If,
There's more poop involved than normal, right? On your guys' sex?
if we're doing what the porn stars do, because we've seen them do it, that means, according to the multiverse theory, there is a universe where the porn stars are all watching us, and that's a funny porn.
Yeah, and they're watching our lives be hindered by not being
you
open
think
with
that-
our sexuality.
If there was a porn star whose only information was based on what he'd see me do, I'd watch him and I'd
Oh my God.
have a great time.
Let's write a sitcom
Like, you
about a world where porn stars and the sex world is the number one open public industry, and the porn stars are watching people live their lives in a super
I love this.
unsexually open way.
Yes.
And they're like, look at those people struggling with that shit because they don't just talk about it.
Yeah.
I love that. That's to the point, kind of what you're saying with your thing here, right? Like with your documentary.
Can I ask what is the thing that you learned the most from making your movie? What was the thing that opened your eyes, or the biggest surprise?
Wait, can I play the music while you say it?
Jarbra Walters. Joe
I'm just kidding. We don't have to play it.
I'm going to say
Barbara Beretta.
Barbara Jo Walters Berettas.
I feel like, for the most part, my concerns and assumptions about the topic were verified, just that no one gets the information that they need, and we all are struggling with this. Like, everyone I spoke to sort of became interested in sex at a really young age, wasn't allowed to know about it. It became weaponized, got really weird. They were formally educated about it years and years later, but barely, and that led to a lot of detriment in their lives. Like, all of that was confirmed, and I think, I don't know, I think my biggest takeaway is this is so necessary. It's actually unbelievable and totally unacceptable that it doesn't already exist. And I started this project before Me Too, a year before Me Too.
No shit.
Yeah. And then Me Too started, and I was like, this is fucking it. Yes. Of course we're all acting like fucking monsters because nobody's training us how not to. We're avoiding this topic, and now it's it is
it's a problem.
Yeah, in a way that wasn't on the surface before. That not everybody was.
It's something we
aware
didn't
of.
anticipate
Totally.
as a society,
Right.
Which makes you worry about future things that we're currently not worrying about,
Right.
You know? But this is something that has definitely come to a head and is going to be a very major bad problem if we don't figure out
Exactly
how to fix it.
It feels very timely, and so I feel aligned with I feel personally aligned on this project because of when I started it and sort of what has happened since.
Yeah, there's a book I read called Creative
Clifford book?
The Creative Clifford goes to it's called The Creative
Clifford
Curve.
goes to Planned Parenthood.
Clifford goes and
He can't get through the door.
it's big. Yeah. but they still helped him, and it was beautiful. But it's it's about how when people are considered quote unquote genius or they're considered successful, it's when they're doing a project that has a unique quality to it that is in line with the culture at the time, but there's no way to plan on the culture part because you don't know when it's gonna, like you're saying, align. So it's cool that that's happening because it's a nice confirming, like, you know, it's a good shot to get something up and going, can get you momentum. What if you weren't? I mean, I know you were talking about like this sort of having like a hook to it, and then there being a follow up or something in the future that's like different. Is there stuff just in other areas? Period that you, I mean, if you were wanting to be a documentary filmmaker, are there just like, what else would you love to explore? Or
I like started and stopped. It's all just about having the resources to do stuff and also having the experience. I mean, this is the first thing I made. I was a teacher, you know. I was going to make a short about what's it called when you have sensitivity to electronics.
Whoa, I don't know what
Better
that's
Call
called.
Saul thing.
Yeah, they touched on it in that.
What is it?
It's an acronym. I can't.
I was in the airport like 2 weeks ago, and I was at a bar, and this guy was talking on his cell phone next to me, and then this woman who was sitting like at a table directly behind just goes, excuse me, sir, can you not?" She was like, "Can you not have your cell phone around me? I'm allergic to the radioactivity."
Yeah.
And he like didn't hear it all, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna get good." And then he turns around and she's like, "Sir, please turn away from me or get off your cell phone." And he was like,
vomit.
He was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, sure." And then everyone at the bar was just like, I don't know exactly what just happened here. But I mean, I don't know anything about that.
You witnessed that?
Yeah.
Wow.
A woman straight up being like, "You have to get off yourself." Like he was like and he had no idea. He was just living his life.
She also is being a little irresponsible, just willy-nilly going into public without some sort of like if you're going to be in a public place, people are going to be on there.
I mean, I know nothing about my assumptions that there was always some kind of either it's a psychosomatic thing or it's an actual thing.
I don't know what it's called. I'm about to be fascinated.
Well,
Is
clearly,
it called EHS, electromagnetic hypersensitivity?
Yes. Whoa. So here's what I think about it.
What a
So
time.
basically, I had a production partner and we were going to make it. So I did a bunch of research about it and like planned that out. And then what I have noticed since leaving teaching and starting projects is that they all fall through.
Yeah.
People are like, "Oh, let's do this," and then they back out at the last minute. That's happened to me so many times. It's fine. You know, I'll keep going. But I think it's just a thing. It could be both. You know, it could be like a little bit psychosomatic, or maybe for some people it is, and for other people it's legit. I just think technology is too new for us to be like, well, there's no, you know, scientific evidence to say that it's real. It's like, well, just maybe not yet. Like, I don't think that anyone's putting a lot of money into like, determining if this is real or not. And the stories I've read, they sound legit. I mean, like to the point where somebody who has EHS somebody with a phone can walk in the room and they'll truly vomit.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in the unconscious manifesting physical things that are real. Like, it's not like I think you're lying.
Right.
It's like I lean on the side of being like, I'm very curious what you have going on. Like,
There's
on an
science that
internal-
links mental disorders to
Yeah.
physical attribution. Like, you know, there is a connection between mental and physical pain. Being connected with like anxiety or what have you. So
Which
yeah,
is,
that, I
makes
think
it
that
hard
would
to talk
fall
about
into
because
that.
people are like, "Oh, you're saying I'm lying?" It's like, no, I think you're telling
know,
the truth.
it's
I just don't
unfair.
know
What it is
that
or
you
what's
know.
actually happening. Yeah.
There's just so many things
Yeah.
we don't understand about
Exactly.
how, and we all have unique perceptions of everything, and we all have unique experiences, and we just have to be somehow more mindful of that.
Yeah, because we all like to tell each other like how each other feels based on our own experience. Like, well, I've never experienced that, and I haven't heard of anyone experiencing that,
So it
so
must
that
not be
must
real.
not be real. And it's like, you know, one of our friends has Lyme disease, and so she's been dealing with this for the past year, which is just like people being like, "Sweetie, you're fine," and she's like,
I'm
my
not.
left side of
Yeah.
my body is going numb. I can't think straight. I'm forgetting the name of basic objects. I have no energy. I'm not fine. Like, something's going on. So I think that
Yeah.
that's comparable, actually, Lyme disease and EHS.
What is this that you brought with you?
Oh my God. So,
Show and tell time.
This was, the best time, you know?
I know, I remember those times.
What would you take?
You know, I think we were talking about this the other day, actually. We were like, can we remember what we brought to show and tell? And I'm pretty sure I would just bring my Ghostbusters toys.
Cool.
Like, if I had like a new Ghostbusters toy, I'd be like, this is Egon.
Yeah.
Egon's not as cool as Venkman, but he's pretty cool because he's a scientist. And when you push his hand down, his head pops up and his tongue comes out. So if you guys want to see it, meet me at recess.
That's the best. I love when kids go up and they're just like, so this is my thing.
Yeah. I made it. Yeah, fidgeting and hands in their pockets.
Yeah. It's like, yes, we love your thing.
What was that
I do
for?
miss-
What's
I
the
do
what's
miss
the
the kids.
psychology behind show and tell? Is it just to give people a time
to
for
get
their
ready for
interests
public
and stuff?
Speaking a little
Oh,
bit.
no shit.
And also just expressing yourself and sharing. I mean, like sharing
See what
personal
kind of dope shit those kids got.
sharing personal stories, like a way to
You
connect.
just want to see the dope shit they have.
Yeah. But you know how it feels so good. Remember how fun that was?
Yeah, I remember
Like,
it felt good.
to be able
yeah.
to nourish stuff like that where kids get to express themselves and
Yeah.
with that expression connect to other kids and sort of like build these bonds based on common interests.
I used to make sketches with my brother. We made like weird Muppet Show puppet sketches, and then we did like all that type sketches together and
Nice.
with our friends and stuff. And my teacher loved them so much that she let me play them in class sometimes.
That's a good teacher.
Oh, it is a
Yeah,
good
and
teacher.
it gave me like a little bit of it helped me prepare for like an audience, you know,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing,
Yeah.
and showing off my creativity and being proud of my thing. And
Yeah.
you know, it's always fun to show someone something that you worked really hard on, and then you get to show a whole audience.
Yeah.
You know, and I got a taste of that as a kid because of some pretty cool teachers.
Shout out to her. What's her name?
Ms. Burke.
There we go.
Ms.
Mrs.
Burke.
Thanks,
She was
Ms.
an
Burke.
artist. She was
Yeah.
an art teacher through and through, but she taught us like regular stuff because it was a Catholic school. So it was like whatever the curriculum is when you're like in 5th or 6th grade or something, or 6th grade, I guess. Yeah. Maybe even 3rd. Shit. I don't know. Anyway.
Okay, so anyway, this is a compilation of. Okay, so some teachers will handle the sex ed topic by like creating a question box so the kids don't have to ask the questions out loud and be embarrassed. I actually interviewed a teacher who did it that way. This was given to me. This is a compilation of questions from a 5th grade inner city class just about sex. And
Who gave this to you? I'm sorry.
so our friend Carlos is friends, I guess, with the teacher who made this. And there's a Tumblr called, I think it's called What Do You Sex? Or What Do You Sex or something, because that was like one of the questions. And he printed it out, and when he knew I was making this project, he's like, here, like this might contribute. So I read some of them in the documentary, but I kind of just want one of you to go through.
What if we so we'll just close our eyes and I'll just read one.
There you go.
I'll flip and I'll
You
point.
want some music, or should this be on its own? We'll let it live on its own.
All right, so here's my page. I'll read a couple and then I'll pass it on. So this is 5th grade.
5th grade, yeah.
Boys or girls or both?
Both.
Okay. So I'll read a couple off of this page that I stopped on. Yeah, give me some music.
Okay, sure. What kind of music
I
you
think
looking
I like
for?
that, like that.
You like that nice stuff
that
going
nice
on?
stuff. Give me the nice
Okay,
stuff.
hold
It's
on.
very pleasant.
Hold on. I'm getting some nice stuff for Joe.
I also love all of the printing. I think it's just so
The
sweet
handwriting's
to
great. Some
see.
of them are very good.
Some of them are good, yeah. The misspellings are so perfect.
All right, here we go. This is from Unabridged. Why does the mouth enter the penis?
I think we've used this music before.
Here we go.
We've also read this book, but it's
Out loud on the podcast.
on the
But we're being respectful for Horny.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
This is a reading by Joe Beretta. What part of woman's body gets horny?
It's a great question.
Good question.
I don't even know the answer to that.
You know what? If you do it right, the whole thing.
The whole
baby.
thing. Yeah, you're right.
Are there any metal dildos?
Yes.
Yes.
Are there wooden dildos?
Yes.
DELDOS. I love it.
Deldos.
Daldos.
That's it?
No, there's so many here.
No, but that was. Oh, those are all
These are
separate
just
ones.
questions, yeah. What's the difference between a virgin and abstinence? If a girl has her period and she has sex, what happens to her?
That's a great question. These are
Hell.
great questions. She
Yeah.
goes to hell.
Yeah, that's on the answers page.
Turn it upside down.
Well, she must be burned at the stake.
Do they get?
When two women do
Well,
sex,
that's a heretic.
do they get
That, of course, that
pregnant? I think that's
that my
what say
child is a
pregnant.
heretic.
Oh, when two women do
Okay.
sex.
Oh, this is such a good one. Listen.
When two women do sex, do they get pregnant? Both? Why or why not?
But pregnant is spelled PRICNIC.
Pricknick.
Pricknit?
Yo, girl, I'm gonna get you pregnant.
Wait, that's such a great question.
It's good, right?
I wanna go.
Like they're.
These are good questions.
I know kids are smart. They're
There's some
ready.
really
You know
fu-
what?
I
They're
don't think
ready
I've
for
hit the funny ones
information.
yet. Elliot,
They
funny
They're like
ones.
critical
No, those are good.
thinkers.
Those are great. Prick
There's
me.
so much.
That's such a good point.
Yeah, there's so much
If
more
they're
advanced than we give
asking
them
that,
credit for.
then they're ready for it.
Can somebody
Yes,
please make
exactly.
a slow
Yeah.
jam for me? Just a slow jam sex song, all a 1990s R&B. Call I'm gonna get you prick, Nick.
All right, here's one. Why does some people have twins? Why? How can a
Two
woman
penises during sex, of course.
and how can a woman have 6 babies? Why?
I like the why. Why?
Yeah, here's my favorite. What is your favorite mall and why?
You sure it doesn't say ball?
When a other person has I, B, and you do sex with that person, how does it pass to the other person?
Great question.
That is a
know.
great question.
How sperm come out?
Give me this. Give
I
me this
want-
book.
I want you
if
to
my,
find-
If my question was in there, it would have been, I'm really afraid of going pee-pee in woman during sex. How do I not do that?
Yeah.
Why do people has to kiss?
Oh.
Oh, that's actually really sweet.
Why do people kiss? Why do we have to decide?
Deep.
Creepy. The music feels creepy now. Did it change?
It did change. Hang on, let me see. You think that's too sexual?
It's definitely like sultry.
Now it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, porn music.
I'm
Okay.
gonna get you prick, Nick. Yeah. I'm gonna get you prick, Nick.
Why the girl like the sperm?
I mean, that's the question, isn't it?
A Clifford adventure.
What if your sister or brother tease you? What do you do?
I think that's...
Beat the shit out of them.
There's a question in there that says, do you like being punished?
Why do girls
Whoa.
scram when they have
Wow.
sex?
Scram?
Scram.
I'm gonna make you scram, and
Scram
then I'll
like-
get you prick, Nick.
The guy from like the 80s in there?
Why is the penis so big?
Aw.
When they do sex, does the girl's hair get stuck in the boy's peanut?
Oh. All right, that's enough class for today.
Yes.
Yes.
How many,
adorable.
and I think it's a drawing of a sperm. How many sperm of this thing go into a girl body? Wow. This is wonderful. I want to read this whole thing.
Yeah.
It brings back weird memories of like, oh, yeah. No, you have no idea.
Ooh, can we? Yeah.
Ms. D, does the woman get all their spur in her and or just one?
It's a great question.
Pick your favorite.
Why does people get horny? That's a great question. Why or does sex is important for people?
Yeah.
Someone's excited about it.
Is a condom a bad word? Wow, I remember getting in trouble for saying pussy.
How old?
Oh man,
45. He did it at church.
it was my last birthday. You know, I don't know. I was pretty young though. I was
mean,
a
that's
kid.
a harsh word.
I was a kid.
I remember
yeah.
I hated that word.
Condom's like just a thing, so I think
Well,
it's
but
a little bit more...
condom is like, why do you know that? Why do you know the word
Exactly.
condom? Where did you hear it?
Still
Yeah.
considered so taboo.
It's-
And
yeah.
the way we all grew up, I would say if I were to go out and buy them today, there'd still be a part of me when I put them down.
You'd feel weird.
I would feel a little weird,
Yeah.
and I would eventually get to the part where I'm like, I'm a big boy, and I'm gonna own this, and I feel good, and my hands are on my hips, and I'm happy. Look at me buy condom.
That's so
Yeah,
real.
yeah.
But I
Yeah.
know I
So
would still
real.
like that. I would still get anxiety about
There's
it.
also
I
a
know
part
I
of
would.
it feels like I'm like 22 again, but I don't mind that either. Where it's like, yeah, oh, you think I'm like
Yeah.
a really like this is crazy. And
This
I'm like,
is-
oh man, it's a very boring act.
Listen to this one. You know those Angeline billboards you see all over Hollywood with that woman showing her breasts? What's she trying to sell?
I did not remember that. Maybe I didn't even. Wow.
It's so well said. It must be a woman.
What are the
Yeah.
what billboard?
The Angeline, you ever seen
where
those?
she's like laying and she's just there. You know.
I'm sure I will recognize if I
There's
see
like
Is it the Boots
It's like
one?
Dude, ask Grace about Angeline.
yeah, I'm thinking
She
Boots.
knows about it.
You're the Boots
Angeline
Factory or
is
whatever?
Yeah.
Angeline is a Hollywood like
Oh
landmark
yeah,
woman.
staple with the pink Corvette.
She's the pink Corvette.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So she's not selling it. It's not like an adult.
she's selling
Hotline.
her own image.
She's basically like an Instagram
because you
model.
can
but
Yeah.
pay to
billboards.
hire her to
I've
like
seen
come
her.
do an appearance.
Yeah,
so she's
yeah.
selling
I
I
herself.
have no
Now-
clue what you guys are talking about. This is
I
amazing.
want to say that she maybe did sex work back in the day,
I
and
wonder.
now she's just kind of like a little celebrity. Like
Yeah, she's a
Hollywood
celebrity, but she's also so tight-lipped, so like nobody can do an interview with her. or
Yeah,
anything.
she doesn't let people talk to her, and
That's-
she hides
we
her
don't know
face
if that's a
when
fact
she,
or
when you
not.
take a
Steve does
picture.
not know if that's an actual fact.
You guys want to hear some more before we
Yeah.
close this out?
Yeah. They're fun.
Well, let's have you read some.
Well,
Honey.
there are so many bestiality ones, so I hope I can
I didn't
find
see
one.
any of the bestiality ones.
There's one that says, if you have sex with a cow and the cow is a virgin, does the cow scream? Whoa. And then there's one about having sex with a dog. Oh, wait. Oh, that says eat. Why does the girl like to eat the sperm?
What is this about a dog? I see dog.
Oh, okay. Caught a kid off
of 11.
of 11 years old could do sex with a 19 years old girl, or could a boy do sex with a dog? There's one of them.
He's like, what are my options?
Yeah.
I feel like you just asked me 7
one's
questions.
not working out.
Yeah.
Cole, go write a poll.
He's in proximity to a dog and a 19-year-old, and he's like, which way should I
You
go?
should like. Could
You
I?
know
Is it?
how-
Should I go for the 19-year-old girl or the dog?
Have you guys seen the thing that's like, sorry to be too tangential, but just really quick? You know Drew Barrymore's Olive the Other Reindeer? You guys heard about that? Drew Barrymore wrote a children's book called Olive the Other Reindeer. And it's a take on the song Olive the Other Reindeer.
Oh,
So it's
all
about
right.
this other reindeer amongst the Rudolph crew.
Clever.
And it's like a kid's story. What if we did Cole about the guy that the Cole for Christmas is based off of? And his name is Cole, and he's this grumpy guy, and he's the reason why you get Cole for
Really
Christmas.
some great ideas from
Oh.
you.
Shit, I love it.
But
Yeah.
oh, and I just gave it away.
That's great. Yeah,
Look
let me
at
save
this
it for the
guy who's
production
hitting
meeting
on.
next time.
Yeah.
Who's hitting on the
We got
sex
So
Tight
some
shit.
of the questions are like directly from the kids to the teachers, and this one just says, in block letters, your breasts are big.
Also,
This is for the
From
team.
Second row.
from the second row on your left.
to the fifth chair
He's
back.
straight up like,
he's like pointing. Yeah,
this guy said it!
yeah. He's like,
Yeah.
I know sex
And he's
ed.
like-
this is what works.
This one says, why do the boys get more power?
That boy was the same guy that did the dog question. He's like, teacher, you must be a dog because I'm horny.
Yeah. Oh, here, there's another dog one, but this one says, why do the boys get more power to do the sex?
Whoa, that's some heavy stuff.
That's some woke kid.
Yeah, this says, how do dogs do it? What is the hair for on the vagina and the penis? How big is the vagina hole? Can you pee out the sperm?
What is the
They're
hair
Yeah.
for
kinda
on the
close to you.
vagina and the penis? Do we
It's supposed
know?
to be to like keep bacteria away. It's supposed to be like kind of like your eyelashes are supposed to keep like hair is
Debris and
supposed to be
That's wrong. It's for
preventative.
pictures. You can shave it down and then like do whatever
it's so
you want
people
with
know
it.
what era the picture was taken.
Does it mean so? It's meant to house bacteria and keep it out of the private
No,
area.
just keep it all right there. 'cause
Yeah.
it's like a bacteria.
Don't touch my hair.
trap
It's all the
for
bacteria.
It's to attract and display bacteria.
It's like baleen, but instead of krill.
Oh, it's like,
Elliot's like, yes, yes, Steve. Good
that's
job.
great. I love that.
Does it feel
got it.
good when they suck your penis?
I mean, I can answer that. But
Look, why do a woman's vagina smell?
yeah,
Yeah,
good question.
it is.
Why do
yeah.
penises smell too, buddy?
Yeah. Can we get some equality up
Yeah.
in here?
Ani,
Wow.
Anyway,
Amazing.
what a lovely,
Ani, this
lovely
has been-
podcast.
I
Very
feel the
great.
same way.
I
Great
love being able to talk more with you about your passions and learn more about you. You're a wonderful person that I love having in my life. You're a great friend. And Ani and I, we had a shared experience with a neighbor who was having a panic attack.
Yeah.
Who came to my door and was like, I'm having a panic attack. Can you help me? And can you have my friend's phone number just in case something happens to me? And it was this
And
really
can I also
scary.
have sex with dog? Thank God you were there. You could answer
It
the
was
question.
this
And I
really
was
scary
prepared
moment.
Yeah.
that-
And I was like, of course, man. Let me know if you need anything. And I was like, breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. And he was like, yeah. And then he's like, thank you. And then he left. And I came back in, and we're with some friends at my place. And Ani was straight up like, is everything okay? Is that person okay? And I was like, I think he's having a panic attack. And she's like, let's go. Let's take care of this guy now. And so we went out and we knocked on his door, and he opened it. And then we just sat out in the hall of my apartment complex where this guy lived, and we just like talked to him and let him.
Well, he breathed into a paper bag.
Yeah, you gave him a paper bag, and you were like, breathe into this and regulate your breathing and really pay attention to your breathing. And then we just like talked to him, and you were such a big helper in that. You just were like, let's talk to this guy and let's let him talk about. And then you started talking about his likes and he started talking about his things that he's interested in, and it really got his mind off of like the panic attack, which is really what you have to do. You kind of have to distract yourself. Or that's the quickest way I've found to kind of like break out of a panic attack. It's hard, but it's a tactic but Ani, I'm sorry. I mean, there was no real point to the story other than you're such a wonderful person, and I'm thankful to have you in my life, and thank you for that moment. It was a wonderful moment.
It was nice meeting him.
Yeah,
very nice
Yeah,
meeting
thank you for being
And,
here.
thank you for being so kind.
I have a podcast pitch for you. We made we had fun reading this, and it was but I think it's a big deal. These questions are real for a bunch of young kids looking for answers. Podcast pitch is called Big Questions, Big Penis. And it's
Love it
you
so far.
and some of your friends and sex
So I can be on it.
sitting down and doing 5 or 6 of these questions, as crazy as a question could be, as normal as a question could be, and it's aimed at the kids that are looking for answers on these stuff, and it's an educational podcast.
You know what's wild is I'm
answering
launching a podcast.
these questions.
And I will incorporate that because that's a
Bam.
good idea. I
Hell
have
yeah.
a co-host. Her name is Taz. She's a brilliant woman. It's been in the works for a while. We're planning on launching the beginning of next year.
Nice.
But we want a platform to be able to talk about this. And she's like a really brilliant woman of colors. There's diversity. I'm also very aware of like not placing myself in the middle of a conversation that's like not about me, like being a white person in America right now and stuff. So I just want to like bring other voices in, and that is brilliant. And we will.
Yeah,
I think you could
Add
have
that
even
to
the
it.
craziest ones.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, because there's every kid that asked one of these questions, as crazy as they aren't the only kid, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's confusing for a lot of them. So.
Well, Ani, thank you for coming, and thank you for talking to us, and we'd love to have you come back and talk more about your film when it's done. And
Ooh, can I say the website?
please.
Okay, so
Promote.
you can. I have a trailer on the website. The website is who'syourteacherproject.com. And there are 3 links below. There's an Instagram that I update, and then there's a GoFundMe link if you'd like to donate. We still need to raise a little bit of money. And then the 3rd link is just if you want to stay updated. So like when I'm able to release the film or whatever sort of news I get, you can like be on the mailing list and you'll stay updated, because unfortunately I can't show you the movie right now. But
Right.
soon.
I wish you all the luck, Ani.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you
you
for
guys.
sitting with us.
Thank
This
you.
was wonderful. You guys are
What a
fun.
wonderful time. Please come back, and thank you guys for listening, and we appreciate your guys' continued support. And if you're interested in supporting Ani, please check her out on all of her stuff. And what's your Instagram for people if they want to check out your Instagram?
My personal Instagram is Nimblewill, and that's sort of where I funnel most things through, and there are links to the documentary on there, but it's NIMBLEWILL.
Also, definitely follow her on Instagram if you want a semi-regular daily dose of inspirational things and just shout-outs to good people that you should be following and listening to and getting information from. But yeah, it's a lovely place to feel better about yourself, I'd like to say, if I could.
And we're going to end it up with a shout out to Jared Lombardo from our Patreon. He's one of the people at a tier where we do shout outs for their work.
He wants to know, why does the mouth answer the penis?
And he said, I would love if you guys could shout out my Thesis film in the link below. It's unlisted video for now, but we'll have it listed in the description. You can click on it and watch it. He wants to submit it to film festivals and whatnot, and if it's super public, it could get disqualified. So don't share the link, but go watch it. He says, I worked really hard on it and honestly just want people to see it because it's all that getting a degree in film is good for. It's not a comedy and couldn't be further from your content, but maybe after I make people sad, they'll go back to your amazing content to feel the joy once again. So go check it out. I watched it. It is not a comedy, but the actors in it are very good, and he did a great job on it. So go check it out.
Most of the stuff we like tends to be not like the stuff that we
Yeah, because it's nice to see. We see this shit all day. It's nice to see something a
So
little different.
shout out to Jared. Go check out his work and leave him some nice comments.
Thank you to all the patrons who have signed back up, who are sending wonderful messages. That's very sweet. For those of you who wanted a refund because of our timing before, we're working with Patreon to get that all figured out, so don't think that we're not seeing that, and we love you and thank you. And we're going to have so much fun over the next couple of months as we end this year.
And I'd like to end on by saying, "Where's the cat?"